Hey, what's up, garden friends? Today I want to talk about grafting. Now, I got a lot of fruit trees out here, and every single one actually is grafted. Every fruit tree you're typically going to buy at most of your nurseries are going to be ones that have been grafted, and usually it's at the base. So they give them a really healthy rootstock, and then they graft on the variety that you're looking to grow, and then there's your fruit tree. But what's really cool is grafting for yourself, and actually we're going to get into it today. Now, is grafting a gimmick for the home gardener, or is it a great idea? So is grafting a good idea? Is it a gimmick? What's the deal? So I guess it really depends on who you ask and what you think you're doing. What are you going to optimize for? So one of the beautiful parts about grafting for the home gardener is that it allows you to bring in multiple new varieties into a given area. Oftentimes for the home gardener, we are limited on our space, and so you can only grow so many fruit trees. But with those fruit trees, you can actually grow a lot of different varieties. You can see right here, this is a grafted fruit tree. We have plums right here. You can see even the leaves are a bit different. This is a plum branch. Here's our apricot right here. And then I believe we've got either a peach or a peach tree right here. So that's pretty good. So we got 3-in-1 right here, and we've actually added some new varieties on. So here's one right here that I just recently did. And I added an O. Henry peach to this branch. Boom. And so you can see it's already healing up. And so one of the things I'll get into is how I grafted. It's kind of funny. I'm a little embarrassed, but I did not plan to even graft this year, but I went to this wonderful event and it was so cool. Let me show you some of the other grafts that we worked on. And so I went to this event and they had California rare fruit growers scion exchange, where basically there was over 1,000 varieties of just 1,000 varieties of fruits, different. I mean, it was incredible. And so I like I said, I wasn't planning on it, but I got my hands on a bunch of scions. And so I want to show you, well, what we did and kind of how we did it. So here's an apple tree we had. And so a few years ago, I have done some grafts before with some success, and I'm no professional in that regard. But what's great about it is you can see this one's already healed up a little bit, not the healthiest looking thing, but it actually is healthy, and that the plant is actually growing. You can see it's already developing fruit. This is grafted last winter, and it's doing pretty well right now. And so you can see on this one, we added a bunch of new varieties. The Sun Fuji, we've got the Sun Tan, we've got the Tiedemann Late Orange, just a bunch. I think I added 6 or 7 new varieties. And so as you can see, if you haven't already noticed, I did use some duct tape. So honestly, if I would recommend it if you're thinking about doing it at home, take the time to get the proper materials. I think you can do it. I've done it with tie tape. I've done it with the duct tape, and I've done it with wax, or a combination of all three, and it's worked quite well for me. But that's just because that's what we had, and I was limited on time. I did not want to wait to have to purchase anything. But if you have a better plan than I do, I think you're going to have even better success and a little bit more joy if you use the proper tools. And that would be, they actually have, you can order online some grafting tape that stretches really good. It kind of gives, it self-adheres a little bit, and I think it's just designed for this whole process, and it just works so much better. Like I said, these materials worked fine in a pinch. You want to experiment at home with your own, but I'd say if you can get your hands on a proper grafting knife, some wax, and that tape, that grafter's tape, I think you're really gonna have a better time of it. So you can see right here, I just kind of pulled back the duct tape. So these ones I did all just about 2 months ago, just to show you how far along it's come. And look, it's already broken dormancy, and the branch is flowering, it's leafed out. And this was just a dead little not dead, but a dormant sign, I should say. It was not growing, but you can see the wound right here, and it hasn't quite healed on the bottom. So this is why I kind of left this open for you. I pulled it open to see kind of how far along they were at. So I noticed that the plant up here, it has healed a bit, but not fully. So maybe leave them tied up a little bit longer. And that's what we're gonna do here. But out of all the ones I did on this tree, let's see, 1, 2, 3, there's 4, 5, 6. And even this one hasn't broken dormancy yet, but you can see the buds are swelling, and it looks actually still pretty healthy to me. So we haven't lost that one just yet. So we added 6 or so onto here, plus another variety. So now we have this tree that was once just one apple variety, and now it's gonna be 7 or 8 varieties. I think next year we're gonna add more. You can see here it's as simple as snipping off a branch. We create this as a cleft graft. We create a little cleft and then jab these in here. And I have other videos that show that. And maybe next season I'll do a how-to on it. But really, I just want to show you how ours have come along so far this year, and they've come along great. We've actually added some plums and some apricots and peaches to the other side of our garden. So back over here, we've got some different stone fruits in there that we grafted to as well, and they're looking really good. Right there, you can see a citrus tree that I'm cutting back because I want to do some grafting on that as well, which is a little bit different. The citrus have a lot of similarities, but with the dormant trees, it's a bit different of a beast. You do them right when that dormancy is, and then they heal up, and it's great. But honestly, it's really simple here. I'll show you. I'll even pull this off just to kind of show you. And so, like I said, the duct tape, kind of a weird choice, but it's what we had. And I think from everything I've seen, that grafter's tape just stretches, it pulls tight, it's designed for it, and it's really good. And there's so many different methods to actually do this, but really what it's all about is exposing the tissue in both the scion and the trunk, and then getting the layer, that little green living layer of tissue to line up and pull it tight. Let them heal together. You want to keep out any bugs and moisture and sunlight, and then after a while you can see, and then we even covered them with wax, and now a lot of that wax is worn away, and you can see this one's healing up really, really well, and the branch looks healthy. And what I'll do now is I'll make sure I prune back the rest of the tree around this branch to allow that new young branch to actually have some space to survive and thrive. Otherwise, you can see here, this apple tree is just growing. I mean, it's bushy, and you can see we have tons of apples already forming, and it's just not even into May yet. So we're looking forward to some apples. But what's nice is now we're gonna have an extended harvest. So let's get back to that main point, grafting. Let's talk about it. All right, so grafting, ultimately, is it a good idea? Is it a gimmick? And maybe I'll have to leave that up to you to decide, but for me, it's a great idea. If I was gonna maybe have a farm, I probably wouldn't have, trees that are 3 or 4 or 5 in one. It might not be ideal for harvesting and being economical, but for the home gardener, where if you wanna bring in new varieties, but you have no more space to plant new trees, just find ones that are related to each other. So apples to apples, pears to pears, your stone fruit are actually really good about being grafted together, and of course citrus to citrus. I actually met a home gardener. He had a stone fruit tree that had like over 150 varieties on one tree. His citrus had over 110 varieties. It's pretty incredible. So some people might argue that it's just a gimmick for nurseries to sell you some. And yeah, you can go buy ones that are fruit cocktail trees where it's 3-in-1, 4-in-1, and that's pretty cool. And that's a great way to get started. Actually, some of these behind me, I have a pluot here that's a 3-in-1, and I love it. It's actually great. And one of the benefits is not just bringing in new varieties into your landscape, but it's actually bringing in more varieties and extending your harvest. So some of these plants, they're going to be, their harvest window is really short, right? And so maybe if you want all your fruit all at once, then maybe you're just growing less varieties. But if you want to have, diversity of choice and opportunity to really enjoy some more varieties that you otherwise wouldn't be able to squeeze into your landscape, consider grafting. Because imagine having one tree where the harvest starts, early and doesn't end until the end of summer. And that's how this gentleman's fruit tree was. Is his harvest starts at the end of May and it keeps going into mid-October. And so there's plums and nectarines and peaches and apricots and apriums and pluots and plum, all these things. There's, dozens and dozens and dozens of varieties. There are fruit out there you've never eaten. There's so much fruit that I've never eaten, and I'm so excited to try to get to grow it. And then I think with grafting, it just offers you more variety and a longer harvest period. You can get more variety into a smaller location. So it really depends on what you're optimizing for, I think, if you're ultimately going to fall on the side of gimmick or a good idea. For me, grafting is awesome. It's actually, you can invigorate old trees with grafting. It's not just about bringing in new varieties. Sometimes you can cut back a tree, condense some of that growth, and then restart with some fresh grafts and scions. If you're interested, look it up. I'm going to try to do more videos on it because I love it, and I know there's people out there who are really motivated to consider doing it in their own landscapes, in their own home orchards. Who doesn't want a delicious orchard in the front of their house, the back of their house, the side of their house? And if you only have, an opportunity to have 3, 4, 5, 6 fruit trees, but you could have a couple dozen varieties of different fruit on there, that's pretty cool. And grafting is one of those things, like a lot of garden tasks, and maybe a lot of things in life, where we think it's more difficult than it truly is. And I've had grafts fail, but I've had so many that actually have succeeded. Out of all the grafts I did this year, I think we did about maybe 20 to 30. And out of all of that, I think I had 2 that didn't make it. And you know what I noticed about the ones that didn't make it compared to the ones that did? Is the 2 that I didn't were really, really tiny scions. They were super thin and kind of narrow diameter. And so they were very small. And anything that was about as thick as a chopstick or even a pencil, those ones all have done well. And so it's the really ultra small little ones that I had that really didn't perform well for me. So that's just something to consider. But I digress. But I'm having fun with grafting. I think you should consider it too, especially if you like eating fresh fruit. Well, that's all I have for today, friends. I got to get back out in the garden. As you can see, there is so much to do out here. We've been planting, harvesting, and getting things going. And I'm really looking forward to a wonderful, wonderful summer harvest. Happy gardening to you all, and please never stop growing, friends. We'll see you next time.